Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Witch Watch Season 1, Episode 14. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I was not expecting, the Uran Mirage anime adaptation. I was kind of almost wondering, I was like, is this going to be the entire episode? I would have been okay with it, but I was just curious about it. It's funny, the first half of the episode is all about Uran Mirage, and then the second half, you could make the argument it still is, but it's kind of more Uran Mirage adjacent, but still kind of all being about it. So the fact is that they gave the show its own intro and outro within the show of Witch Watch. It's hilarious. I'm curious, do they do that in the manga too? I'm so curious to know, is this episode, this storyline in particular, what we got this episode, or at least the fact is we got the anime adaptation. I wonder, is that straight from the manga, or is this something they made specifically for the anime? Who knows? The fact is that they might be playing with the medium, a little bit, because this is the anime. They gave Uran Mirage an anime, whereas maybe in the manga it never got beyond a manga, that maybe while the manga was being written it hadn't gotten an anime adaptation or something. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun, but once again, the whole notion of how meta it is. I mean, the fact of the matter is it is what technically it says chapter 119, so we're a giant chunk of the way through a story, and we're just kind of smack dab in the middle of it, so we don't really know these characters or this story's dynamic, other than a little bit we get from Yuri and Kukumi's a little back and forth and fandom over it. But there's certain little things, because anime and manga are obviously meant to be very exaggerated, but I love that you could tell even with the animation things are exaggerated. What was it, Utsuro is running over to Oboro after he got punched, and the animation to him, for him running over, goes a few seconds too long, because they it literally is it ran for maybe 5 seconds when it should have ran for maybe 2 or 3, but it's just little things like that. And even later on, when that lady's doing her flashback, she's in this white background and twisting and turning, and then when they show the monsters at one point in time and the heroes are trying to, how are we going to defeat these things, what's going on here, and then it's just it keeps panning back and forth over the same shot of the monsters. I'm they know what they're doing. I'm that's hilarious. It's super meta. And the fact of the matter is, you have Zach, the lion guy, who speaks nonsensical lines that you're what are you even saying? You're talking almost in such metaphors, and I'm I don't get it. And he was about to do his super move, and then he got gobbled up. But then it's oh yeah, then the next character's oh yeah, I'm examining all of this. It kind of makes me think back to blah blah blah. And what was it, the commanding officer, the lady, she was oh my god, are you going to are you staging a coup? And he was maybe. She's are you staging a coup? And he's maybe not. He's or both. And she's oh, I'm I love how cheesy it is and over the top it's meant to be. I'm I think that's so, once again, I love the meta-ness of it. And then even ending on a stinger where the guy finds Zach, he's no, Zach, and he's chained up in his underwear. It's just, I love how crazy and wild that was. And then we cut back to it's, I think, Nico, Morihito, Khan, and Keigo all watching it. And just kind of interesting. Nico's a big fan of the one-liners, but I think it was Khan being I don't get it. They don't kind of make any sense. No, because one of the characters, I think it's Utsuro, says let's go in one go. And it's what does that even mean? What does that catchphrase even mean? But Nico's kind of she's oh no, she's it's fun. It's it's going in one go. And it's that doesn't explain anything. So I love that. I was just, it's so much fun. I was that the creator of that just had a lot of fun with that. That's such a neat little meta thing. And then the back half of the episode revolves around Yuri and Kukumi fanning out, going crazy about it. Even it's actually really adorable. Yuri painting her fingernails based on characteristics of the characters. I was oh, that's actually really cool and sweet. And she posted it on social media. And once again, it's kind of she has her otaku-ness that she hides away, because she even says later on, the difference between her and Kukumi is a generational thing. She's grown up from her generation being yo, you need to hide your otaku-ness, whereas Kukumi wears her otaku flag proudly, I mean, even Yuri has to calm herself down because she's like, I'm stuck between this complicated relationship where I'm like, I respect, like, right, Kakumi is one of my students, but then at the same time, it's like, you are a friend of mine now. Like, we've actually become friends because we bonded over Ura and Mirage. But then also, I worship you almost like a god because of your online handle and your work as like this Dojin artist and stuff. And it's such an interesting dynamic. And she's just kind of like, right, like, I'd almost kind of want to be like this, like, I should like be bowing down in front of you because of how much she worships Kakumi. And obviously it's something she hasn't told the others about because it makes sense, because she's like, right, she tells Yuri later on, like, you should kind of be more out in the open, but it's like, she's not gonna like out her friend. It's like, right, you should be more comfortable with it and like come to terms with like accepting your otakuness and embracing. I mean, obviously it leaks out every once in a while, so it's not like her students don't know, but she wants to be respectable in her students' eyes. And it's like, me being this massive weeb, otaku is not a good thing. So once again, she's hiding away a part of herself, which is like, no wonder she kind of explodes like with her otakuness from time to time, like she does. I mean, to the point she was literally about to lose her shit when Kukumi like reveals like she's working on a manga, because up until now she's only just done like still illustrations and stuff like that. Even like, oh my god, you drew this picture of Oboro smiling. It's like, if it was Utsuro, that'd make a lot of sense, but Oboro, like the fact that you drew him smiling and stuff, and even Kukumi's like kind of like endeared and embarrassed by that. But it's like, yeah, I think I did a good job with this, and I think it really flushes out the character, like just little things like that. But Kakumi's working on actual like full-blown like manga and not just illustrations, and she shows Yuri, and Yuri's literally shaking. She's like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing. And she makes reference because she's like, oh, this is when so and so saw Terazuka's manga draft. And I was like, once again, you learn something new every day. The person she's referencing is Osamu Terazuka, who is considered, once again, quick search on Wikipedia, kind of considered the father of manga. He reinvented a lot of the genre, especially because he did so many different genres and stuff like that. It was even saying like he's kind of considered like the Japanese Walt Disney, which is kind of interesting because I did not know this. He's the mangaka who came up with like Kimba the White Lion, that I didn't find this out 2 years ago about like, oh, Simba and the story of Lion King is very like clearly kind of a rip off a little, yeah. That he's also the mangaka who came up with, who made Astro Boy. I was like, oh, interesting. And there's another series he came up with. I think I've seen bits and pieces, or I feel like I've seen it referenced, but Blackjack. I know nothing about that series, but I feel like when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I feel like I do vaguely know it. So I was like, oh, interesting. So yeah, like I was like, oh, once again, you learn something new every day. Like this has made me aware of certain manga that have been going on since like the 60s and 70s that I was completely aware of. Like I said, it's probably stuff like maybe the mangaka like might have read when they were younger, or maybe their parents read or something. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but I'm like I said, it's just kind of neat, like learning something. You learn something new every day, essentially, So I thought that was interesting. But obviously Yuri's so excited to read it because she's like, oh my god, like Kakumi has such great talent. I can only imagine what the manga is. But then she reads it and she's like, oh, this seems kind of plain. She's like, is something wrong with me? The fact is, I'm not getting excited about it. Because she's like, obviously Kakumi has the talent for it, but it's like, obviously she's not the otaku that, because Kakumi's only, it seems like Uran Mirage is like the only like manga she's ever read. And so it's like, Yuri's coming from the lens of, I've read so many other mangas, so I know like what you're trying to convey, you're kind of shortchanging it a little bit with the way you thinly slice the panels of the manga, and like you're not being able to kind of display things like in the storytelling that you want to. And so, but the problem is she doesn't want to hurt Kakumi's feelings, because she's like, well, the fact of the matter is you could do this and you could do that, but it's like you're such a you have such talent that I'd hate for you to kind of put this out there and then the fandom kind of not respond to it and it gets buried underneath all this stuff and you think, oh, I guess manga isn't meant for me, and then you just kind of ignore what is kind of could potentially be your calling. And she doesn't know what to do, and I love how that's depicted on screen with all the very Matrix homage where she's like Neo dodging bullets, and just like going on her diatribe about like how she's going to help with this. So she gave Kokumi like, no, this is great, this is good, this is awesome. And then it's like, hey, I suggest you put it out there online. Like, obviously you have a fan base who will give you some good feedback. It's like, oh, cool. And so the moment she does, but then Kokumi starts thinking, wait, did I basically just put this out there to the world? She's like, isn't this the equivalent to me being naked to the world? It's like, well, I mean, in an artistic sense, yes. But then immediately got a reply. It was this massive response from Dengeki Melon, Yuri. And I thought that, because she already had her response prepped well in advance. And so the moment it went up, it's like, Yuri should have probably waited a beat, but she probably also wanted to make sure she got in her response before anyone else. Once again, her otaku-ness, she even says the next day, like, oh yeah, it kind of overflowed, and it kind of got the best of me. But Kokumi appreciated, because she was able to take, she's like, the constructive criticism. It's like the way this is being written, they're being very nice and trying to be as, comforting to me as possible, while also giving like, hey, you should work on this, and this could be done. And so Kokumi realizes that Yuri is Dengeki Melon. It's like, how'd you figure out? She's like, well, I went back, followed your post because I was curious, because you're always liking my stuff. So I wanted to kind of learn more about you. And I went back and saw the post with the nails. And then I realized yesterday when we were hanging out, you had those same nails. And it's like, oh, my otaku-ness got the best of me. I've been revealed. But Kokumi's like, no, you should embrace like your otaku-ness. And it's just like, she appreciates her support. In fact, it's like, I went back and found out there's a short story that you wrote kind of related to Oran Mirage that's really good. So it's like, I know like storytelling isn't like my foray, isn't like my best, so I'm gonna work on the art. You, on the other hand, are going to write the story. And Yuri's like, wait, what? I can't. And it's like, you can, like, kind of trust in yourself and believe in yourself. Because it's a beautiful thing of Yuri is been given this great responsibility by the person she admires the most, who her student, her friend, her god in a lot of ways. But then Kokumi knows, like, hey, you approach me with such good criticism, and you're trying to help me be the best, and like, I'm enjoying this and I'm having fun. And so yeah, like, Yuri was able to do what she wanted to do in the grand scheme of things. She was able to protect Kokumi's passion for this, and like, they're going to be working on this together going forward. Quite the neat student teacher manga duo. So it's a fun episode, but also once again a very sweet and endearing bond between student and teacher and friends over like the thing that they're both like big fans of. And maybe just maybe Yuri going forward will be a little bit more comfortable with letting her otaku flag fly. At the very least, she'll probably definitely be more okay with it with Kokumi. So we'll see how they kind of seep that into some of the other storylines that maybe Yuri or Kokumi's like in the background or involved in. So I'm excited to see where things take us going forward in the grand scheme of things. Just with the main story and just what our characters are up to, because I think next episode we're going to get introduced to our new protagonist, but also just once again, just in the grand scheme of the stories, the continuation of Oran Mirage, and see where things go from here, and our two otaku fans of it as well, like what their journey on making their manga entails. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.